Welcome everyone to the episode of the L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev, and beautiful UK man, Callum Monroe. Callum, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that,
Well, you got
but
the lighting adjusted, so
yeah,
now we
no,
can see that face.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, so people will even know even more so how untrue that is. But no, yeah, I'm good. It's Ghost of Tsushima Eve, so it's an exciting day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally, I downloaded it or pre-downloaded last night, and so it's ready to
Mhm.
go. And that's when I was. That's the reason why I wanted to get that upgrade my hard drive to the SSD, and
Yeah.
I finally got it working. But man, it was a bitch to just get it all transferred over, and the YouTube videos did
Yeah.
not frame how hard it was to actually get going.
How's it working? Is it noticeably quicker or?
It's hard to say. So I got a 500 gig SSD, and so I have enough room. The OS actually takes like 100 gigabytes out of that. It's pretty nuts. And so
Mm,
I have enough for basically like 2 games to put on there. My plan was because I have an external hard drive, like 4 terabytes, to just move games over as I need to. And the game that I'm
yeah,
playing, I'll play on the SSD. It's similar to like a PC setup or whatever. But
sure.
I put over Last of Us 2 on there, and normally on the standard hard drive, it takes about a minute to like fully go from the menu, like the main PlayStation menu, and load it up fresh. And this time with
Hmm.
the SSD, it takes about 30 seconds. And it's faster if you have the
Oh,
game kind of
nice.
loaded and then you just continue your save. Then it's like 20 seconds to jump in. But it is
Sure.
dramatically faster now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because I wasn't really sure how that would work because obviously they're like so like single purpose machines. I wasn't sure if like it would really make much of a difference. No, it's cool to know it does actually. But
Yeah.
I think yeah, I it's definitely something I might consider doing. But I think before I do that, I probably want to make sure I've got enough put away for the PS5.
Yeah, as I was buying, I was like, man, maybe I should just kind of wait off this. But I do imagine I'm going to be holding on to this PS4 Pro for a while before I
Yeah,
finally
exactly.
upgrade.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's why I was like, I might as well do it. I think I waited
yeah,
to the end of the cycle to actually upgrade this thing, but it's like, I'm going to do it.
yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen, but they've got the like official listings for the PS5 on Amazon now. But it doesn't have like the price or anything on. They're just
Oh,
like there, like ready to be updated, which is quite exciting.
I did not see that. I did see a bunch of, and I thought this was bullshit. But
Yeah.
like, if you saw online, there was big rumors on like Tuesday or Monday that PlayStation's gonna drop like out of the blue, pre-orders
Mm,
now, and like just watch out for, or it
yeah.
was Tuesday or something. And of course, it didn't happen. It just
Yeah.
seemed weird for them to just
Uh,
drop it. Like you'd want to kind of build up to that.
yeah. I think they're gonna want to like cushion the blow of the price as well with being able to like talk about it instead of sort of just being like it's £3,000. There you go.
Right. Yeah, so I didn't really trust those rumors, but
No,
I did see
yeah,
that.
but yeah, no, yeah, it's on Amazon, which is obviously like the thing that means like it's like I always find Amazon's like the thing where like the biggest thing to sort of confirm stuff. Like if it's on Amazon, then it's real kind of thing. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's sort of on there, and but yeah, it's annoying because you can't like it. It kind of looks fake in a way because it's like there's no like information really on there. It's
Mm.
just the picture, and then it says like PlayStation 5 by Sony. So it is legit because you can see it there, but like yeah, it's got no like specification, no description, no price, nothing. So it looks kind of weird, but yeah, it's still pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean we're getting super close to it. Like I imagine, within the next 2 months, you'd have to start to lock in pre-orders, and we'll talk about one of the articles is they're ramping up production, so it's getting more
Yeah,
exciting. Maybe we'll actually be able to get our hands on it, assuming we can afford it. But there's going to be enough out there.
yeah, yeah.
What'd you play this week? Did you jump into any games, or still beating your head over with like Mass Effect stuff or
No,
Persona?
so I finished Persona 5,
You finished
finally
it.
got the platinum. Yeah, I
Whoa!
finished it, got the platinum trophy. I'm done with
Did
it.
you do a
Never
little
have to
dance or a
look
little
at it
jig? Like,
again.
what? How'd you celebrate?
Whereas like, I was in bed and it was like 1 a.m., so it was just like a kind of like grateful exhale through the nose, I
Gotcha.
think it was. But yeah, no, I'm glad to have got that out of the way. Means I can sort of like it. It wasn't even that it was taking up too much of my time. It was just knowing it was there was just grating.
Yeah.
But no, and other than that, I've just been playing Assassin's Creed Origins, which I'm starting to enjoy more and more as I get through it. I'm starting to like enjoy how it plays, and I had a few problems with like the controls and things at first, but
Yeah.
started to like get into it a bit more. But then there's some other things that I'm also starting to not enjoy as much, like the story. Is I find it quite confusing. That might just be because I'm really stupid. Um, but I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said it feels like it's it expects you to know, like, be to have like a degree in this, like in history or something. Like it just talks about everything with like no context, and I just have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
but no, but other than that, the game's just super fun to play, so I don't really mind. It's just really fun to explore, and I think I mentioned last week the world design is just so top notch. It feels like really genuine and really real, and I think we'll talk about Assassin's Creed later anyway, but yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. It's a really good fun game just to sink a few hours into every now and then.
That'd be really cool to get your take on playing this one. I'd imagine maybe if you have a real overall good time, you'll jump into the next one, Odyssey, and to see your kind of fresh take on their progression because this has been the past 5
Yes,
years or
yeah,
whatever with them finally learning and doing coming out with Valhalla. But yeah, this is one I always meant to go get into. There's a ton of sales on it too. Like I'll see it on PlayStation Network for super cheap. And
yeah,
yeah, I do need to jump in. It does look beautiful. I think I do favor Egypt history versus like say the stuff in Greece, which is not too far away
yeah.
or whatever. But I think I do enjoy that, and it seemed like there's times in like boss battles. I don't know if it's DLC, but you fight like mythical creatures too, or like stuff in Egyptian lore. Like you find these like just crazy boss battles. I've seen footage of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't reached anything quite like that yet, but I've seen it in like Odyssey. I know in Odyssey there's lots of that, so I expect it'll come up in Origins as well.
Mm.
But the thing that because you made a good point about like ancient Egypt, so like I'm not, I mean, I like obviously ancient Egypt. I think it's really cool with the pyramids and the temples and things, and that's what I expected Origins to be about. But Origins is actually set like 400 years in the like ahead of Odyssey.
Okay, interesting.
So ancient Egypt in Origins is still ancient. It's like and Egypt in that sort of timeline or in that period is a Greek state, a Hellenistic state. So
Okay.
it's still very similar like iconography, like the Greek sort of statues and things, but it's quite cool because all of this stuff's built on top of the ancient Egyptian stuff. So it's still like a really unique setting in comparison to Odyssey, but um yeah, that's something I didn't expect at all. I didn't think it. I thought it was going to be fully, Egyptian history, but it's actually a period of time when it was mostly Greeks that owned it as a state. Yeah, it's quite an interesting time. But like I was saying, like I didn't even know that existed in history. I didn't even know that that was ever a thing. And yeah, it doesn't seem to explain that. The only reason I know that much, that tiny bit of detail there is because I just googled like the time period it's set in and sort of read up about it a little bit.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, it's a great game. I definitely recommend it. And like you said, it's on sale a lot. And I think I got Odyssey and Origins on Steam for like £19 or something,
Mm.
like together, which was a good
So you're
buy.
playing this
So
on PC right now?
yeah, I'm playing on PC. I'm using a controller just because it doesn't feel very nice with a keyboard and mouse. Mostly the combat feels very strange.
Yeah.
It's like um it's like I can't remember what it was now because I've been playing with controller ever since, but it was something like you have to press shift and X, like so hold down those two buttons and click to like do a special move or something. And I was just like, this sounds like it's much more suited for a controller.
Gotcha.
Um but yeah, no, the only problem I have with it is it's a little bit it suffers from a little bit of poor optimization, so it freezes quite often. And but other than that, it's good. It looks beautiful, and yeah, I'm glad I've sort of got it on PC just so I can have slightly better like resolution and
Right.
things like that.
Does it have the 1440p support?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It looks really nice. I think it's a bit strange because I put it in 4040p and I get about 60 to 70 FPS, so I capped it at 60 just to make sure it was smooth.
Yeah.
And then one day it just minimized itself. Like I was probably about 10 hours in, it just minimized itself and was being all weird. I had to restart my computer, and ever since I've had to drop it down to 45 FPS and like lower some of the graphics because it's just started running really badly,
Mm.
just for no reason at all. So it's yeah. So there's a couple of problems with that. It's not the best port to PC, but I'm still reaping sort of a lot of visual benefits. So I've got no real complaints.
That's one thing I noticed as I've just, I'm a newbie to PC gaming is a lot of weirdness. Like just yesterday, for some reason, I couldn't drag and drop anything on my computer. And it's just my computer decided, like, we can't do this right now. And so I had to restart it.
Yeah,
I'm just like, what the
yeah,
fuck are we doing here? And so it eventually fixed it. But there's a lot of little stuff like that where you have all this control, this
yeah,
power, yet little tiny things will just randomly pop up like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I just said, it was like Origins was working perfectly fine,
Right.
and then it minimized itself, and ever since it's been working worse. And like only on PC could that be a problem. And
Yep.
but I'm so jaded from those kind of issues and those kind of things happening that it just sort of goes over my head now. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. That's to be expected.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just spending your time playing that then.
Yeah. So yeah, finished Persona, and I've just been playing that. I actually started Pillars of Eternity as well, the sort of Dungeons and Dragons esque like party based RPG,
Oh, okay.
which is good fun. It's a lot of like reading. It's kind of like a point and click sort of text adventure kind of RPG. It's really cool. I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, I'm just trying to like spend my time with lots of different games that I haven't played before.
Yeah.
Creating a second backlog and I have no idea why, but I just am doing it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been playing some of a bunch of different stuff. One game in particular that looked really cool that I knew it wasn't for me, but I wanted to try it was this game Mortal Shell. Have you seen any footage on it? It's sort of like a Dark Souls esque kind of game, like a Bloodborne kind of game, where it's that brutal kind of combat where it's not forgiving at all, but it looked really beautiful. It's there's a beta right now on the Epic Game Store, so I played it on PC. And I was playing that over the weekend, and man, it's fucking hard, and it's not for me. It just kept dying over and over again, but it just looked really cool. It's super scary and like creepy. It's very much like Bloodborne, like with the enemies that you fight. But man, this that whole gameplay is just it's just not for me. Like I keep wanting it to be where it
Yeah,
clicks, where I understand the gameplay flow or the combat flow rather, and I can't do it. I can't block efficiently, and you really can't hack
yeah,
and slash your way through those games at all. So I ended up just kind of running around the world and trying to survive. But it was a
yeah,
bummer. But it's a beautiful
yeah,
game. I think it is coming to console soon, but the beta was on PC.
yeah. Yeah, I think I have seen because I just had to look it up just to see what it was. And
Yeah.
is it something to do with like you take over like a body or like you could take over bodies or something like that?
You can, yeah. The whole thing is that
Yeah,
like you'll find these shells, and I think that changes like your loadouts, your weapon ability,
yeah,
and so that kind of changes the
yeah.
gameplay a little bit. And then you have this
Mm,
ability to harden, so like you can turn to stone at the right moment to like block attacks. But it seemed like your enemies could do that too. There's a lot going on, and I'm just such a newbie to that kind of gameplay.
mm,
And apparently, like
yeah,
reading up and talking to my other buddy Gavin, I guess this was even hard for like Demons or Dark Souls players. So like this is not the one to jump into because it's like for the top
no,
notch of that kind of style gameplay. But
yeah,
it just
yeah,
looked really cool. Like I really wish that it clicked with me.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's the problem. But like, I'm the same. Like, I like Dark Souls and that Bloodborne I really liked, and Sekiro I really liked as well.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, it's just they're just so stressful. Like, you just you're just always on edge, and I was always just like ready to like be frustrated if that makes sense.
yeah,
Even before I was even doing anything. So I think that they're just very taxing on certain people, and I'm one of those people. And but the problem is, yeah, they always look so amazing. They're always in these such interesting worlds, and um, I think like there was the argument for Sekiro to try and make it more accessible to certain people, which I don't think has to happen. But there is definitely an argument for that because yeah, these worlds for some reason are just so cool,
right.
and I think that the difficulty lends to that as well. That sort of like mystique that they have. But yeah, no, it does look really cool. I can't remember where I saw it. I think I saw it. Maybe in the PlayStation magazine or something quite recently. So I actually assumed it was really far out because I think it's going to be a PS5 game
I
as
think you're right.
well.
Yep.
I know it's coming out on PS4, but yeah, I think it's going to be on PS5 as well. So yeah, I thought it was going to be a long way off, but no, that's cool that they've got a beta out. I might give that a go, give it a download, and play it for 5 minutes and turn it off.
Yeah, and it's free, so you can jump in. I wonder the reason why to do a beta, because there's no multiplayer aspect, there's no server. So I wonder if they're testing out like how people react to the mechanics or how hard it is, and if they're gonna
Yeah.
adjust, or they hear people out and say, okay, we're gonna make it harder because everyone's whining about it. Like I wonder how they listen to feedback or what the point is of a beta. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean it's there for those players that like that kind of gameplay, but it
Yeah.
wasn't for me.
Well, I suppose it's a good way to get game testers on your game, really.
Yeah, true.
I think that's the reward of that is, you're gonna get a huge amount. You're gonna build a community before the game's even out. You're gonna get great feedback from people, what you need to change and do. I think the risk there though is that if it's like really bad and a lot of people are put off by it, maybe they won't be willing to give it another shot when you've done all the changes to it. So it's definitely a risky move, but yeah, I think it's definitely a viable option, as opposed to finding game testers, having to get them to sign NDAs and paying them and
Right.
all of this stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a viable way to do things. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. What's the general sort of consensus on it? Do you know, like what do people think about it?
I don't. I haven't heard a lot of negativity, but also haven't been listening to like fully what that community wants. But it seemed hard where I think it's right up their alley. It seems like exactly what these
Yeah,
people want. It seems like they just want to be tortured in a dungeon, and this game does that to you. So
yeah, yeah,
it's a success, really.
yeah.
But other than that, I was playing a lot of Last of Us 2. I jumped into that and had like a
Oh,
second
nice.
win where I was continuing my second playthrough and just having a blast and really like and I'm at the point where you're gonna play as Abby, and I think I feel way better about it, like jumping into that early point
Mm,
where before my first
yeah,
playthrough I was just like running as fast as I could, just trying to complete it in hopes that
yeah,
like I'll switch back to Ellie soon. So I'm now
yeah.
glad to like play it again and take a slower time through that whole, because I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I
Sure.
missed.
Yeah, and also you're like more attached to Abby
Right.
straight away, so it would be sort of like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I keep meaning to go back to it because I definitely want to see how I react to Abby's sort of first few bits because it didn't take me that long to get invested into her. But yeah, I'd be interested to see whether my mind's changed about like the pacing of Abby's parts or anything because some of it did seem a bit slow. So it'd be interesting to see if I still have that feeling about it my second time round.
Yep, yep. That's where I'm at. I'm hoping that there's a lot of all we can do is theorize, but like eventually they're gonna. I imagine maybe that's what we're working on now. They'd have to be working on it now, but the multiplayer aspect of it. I know there's like a certain name for
Mhm.
the Last of Us multiplayer factions. I think it
Yeah,
is. I'm really
yeah,
stoked for what they do with that, and I kind of wouldn't put it past them that they really try and bring more story elements into it. Like maybe you pick certain groups that you can align with, and then there's more like single player stuff
hmm
mixed into that multiplayer. But I'm now just like,
hmm
because I love that combat, I'm really anxious to like see how it is the second time around with multiplayer.
yeah, yeah. I can't wait. The multiplayer in the first Last of Us is easily one of the best multiplayers I've ever played.
Yeah,
And it's pretty well known that it was just like a tacked on thing that they did really quickly at the end. So now that they've got all this time to focus on it and flesh it out more, and which I don't even think it needed, or it needs. Yeah, I'm super super excited to see that. Yeah, it's one of the very few multiplayers that I'd still be willing to sit down and get stuck into today. It's yeah, it's really really brilliant stuff.
yeah, no, same here. With the switch gears, I do find myself wanting to try and go back to with Sucker Punch, go back to Second Son, infamous Second Son, and
hmm
just see kind of what they've with Tsushima so close. Like maybe I'll do that tonight before it actually launches, just to jump back and see and kind of compare like the changes they've made and how they've grown as a dev. But I
Yeah.
really dug Infamous Second Son, and even like
hmm
the Last Light, the DLC. Something about the way you can the move the fighting mechanics, like the way they built that world, I really dug it. It wasn't as polished maybe as I'd like it to, or like it's kind of janky with how you
Yeah.
fight and how you maneuver, but it still overall is really beautiful and works. So I'm interested to see
Yeah.
like just to compare it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. As you know, I played Second Son just as sort of we've started to go into lockdown, really,
Okay.
for similar reasons, just to sort of play their Ghost Tsushima's sort of predecessor. Um, And yeah, it is like you said, it's good fun. It looks great, like visually, it still stands up, still holds up now. And it was a PS4, like pretty much like a release game or a launch game for PS4, near enough. Um, but yeah, it is quite shallow in a lot of areas. It's quite repetitive. But you know, it's fun. The world is fun to go around and clear up things on the map. It's good fun in that way. The yeah, it looks great. The combat's all right. It's quite fun, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because Ghost of Tsushima just looks completely different.
Yeah.
Like if there's nothing about Ghost of Tsushima that has Sucker Punch's identity from what I've seen. Um, Unless it has like a kind of mediocre story, then I suppose that's that's their identity. That
Yeah.
I think they do normally fall short in that area often. So it'll be interesting to see whether they've sort of stepped that up this time around as well.
Yeah, and I
But I
was
don't know whether you've heard about the Japanese voice acting not matching the English, like the facial
yeah, like
animations.
the dubbing. Yeah, I
Um,
have heard that, and it's kind of a bummer because you think they would
yeah,
have really focused on not
yeah,
messing that up. And I don't know if they messed it up, but it seemed like it wasn't one for one. Like there was, you could tell where it was just kind of
yeah,
like it would pull you out of the experience. Yeah, I heard that.
yeah. Well, because when we watched the state of play, um, because they like said, oh, and you can play it in Japanese, and they like put the Japanese voiceover on, and I even said then like that looks like completely awful.
That's
Like,
true.
and I wasn't sure at the time whether there was like a delay on the stream, um, so it was just like a little bit. But yeah, you'd at least expect them to either animate it twice, because lots of games do that, or like animate the mouth movements twice, or just do something to make it fit in more, especially considering it's set in Japan.
Right.
Like even like Sekiro, that that has an amazing Japanese dub over it, which most people play the game in. And yeah, it's just a shame to see that. Really, I think that is definitely a ball drop in that sort of department, I'd say.
Yeah, I know. Especially for me, I think I did, and I think I still will try it maybe the first half and see how it goes. But I do
Mm,
want to try it, and I don't know if you can switch back and forth, but I want to try with that Japanese voice cast and as the original way to play it, like with the subtitles just in English. But like I
yeah.
want to experience this as I'm watching, or like kind of pretend I'm watching a samurai
Mm,
Japanese movie. Like I'd want to. I don't know if I'm going to go with that Kurosawa mode, but I do want to
yeah.
try and experience something that's more like just actually Japanese. But
Yeah.
and I don't know if I'll be able to match and see like, oh, the voice animation or the facial animations don't match it as
Yeah.
much. Maybe I won't be pulled out of it. But
Yeah.
I am kind of like bummed out hearing that reception.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm not too. I'll play it in English. I've got like a real. I hate it when things are like dubbed. Like especially if it's like an anime or a cartoon or something. I don't mind it. Like Persona 5, I played in Japanese with English like subtitles, and
Yeah,
that was really great. Um, but yeah, I think when it's like, especially now as we're getting more and more real, like in terms of facial animations, like I struggle to watch like a series, like a live action thing that's dubbed, because it's really obvious to tell then because it's like real people
right.
speaking. And this is pretty much at that level. I mean, not far off. So I'd imagine it's probably going to bother me quite a lot. But yeah, like you said, it might be worth just trying it out, seeing if it's bearable. But considering I sort of straight away realised how awful that looked
Yeah.
at the state of play, I think I'll just play it in English, which isn't a problem. But yeah, it's a shame just not to have that option to take.
Yeah, and it seems like they nailed every other aspect of the game, or like just with the translation and stuff. It's just that the voice
Mm,
acting, which is a huge thing to fail at, or to
yeah,
not be at full capacity with. But yeah, it is a huge bummer. But yeah, we can segue into
yeah,
some of the review thoughts. So that's a
yeah,
good
cool, yeah,
point to
yeah,
change over. So that's we're hot off the heels. It's coming out tonight, basically, on Thursday night. Um, is it? Yeah. It's like Thursday night for me. I can play it at 9 p.m. basically because it's like midnight in the East Coast. Blah blah blah. But yeah, we'll go into some reviews. Overall, it's super positive. So I have kind of a gradual ascension from the top reviews all the way down to some of the not so well received reviews of it. So on Metacritic, it's got overall 84. So Game Informer gave it a 95. Ghost of Tsushima captures the mystique, fierce violence, and barely contained emotional angst of the great samurai films. The line of inspiration is clearly purposeful. Sucker Punch includes a gorgeous Kurosawa mode, which sets a black and white film grain, audio treated effect that doubles down on the classic cinematic vibe. But even beyond that cool feature, this is a game that nails the aesthetic it's shooting for, firmly establishing itself as a medium's defining samurai saga. Destructoid gave it a 95. I'll kind of cruise through some of these. IGN gave it a 90. Ghost of Tsushima is an enormous and densely packed samurai adventure that often left me completely awestruck with both its visual spectacle and excellent combat. A few aspects are surprisingly lacking in polish in comparison to other first-party Sony games, especially when it comes to an enemy AI and the stealth part of its stealth slash action split. Still, this is an extraordinary open world action adventure game that solves several issues that have long gone unaddressed in the genre, while also just being an all around samurai slashing good time. So GameSpot gave it a 70, kind of going down here. Polygon had a pretty down review on it. So Polygon says Ghost of Tsushima has a distinctive aesthetic after all, but it's only skin deep. The core game underneath that alluring exterior is a pastiche of open world game design standards from 5 years ago. It lacks a real personality of its own. Overall, I think it was in that higher range, but there are some outlets that they're a bit more critical or just kind of weren't as impressed. But how do you feel about kind of digesting all these interpretations?
Yeah, I think you get out of sort of the highs and the lows included there. I think they all sort of agree in certain ways, especially aesthetically. I mean, it sounds to me like maybe it is slightly uh, just not groundbreaking in its world design, its gameplay, and its gameplay, which is fine. I don't think that's needed in every single game. I think sometimes it's fine just to have a game that's fun to play and isn't like breaking any or raising any bars. I think Polygon's issue, they say it has a distinctive aesthetic, but then they say it lacks a real personality of its own, which is kind of doesn't really make sense. If it has a distinctive aesthetic that distinguishes it from other things, then clearly it's having its own personality. But I think that obviously they're talking about the gameplay. But
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds. I mean, I'm glad that it's been it's sitting 84 on Metacritic, which is a great score, and it seems definitely because I mean, if we're comparing Sucker Punch's titles, it seems like a big step up from Second Son.
Oh yeah.
Which is great. It's really cool to see, and it's another, from I haven't played it yet, but it seems like it's going to be another powerful first party title for PS4. And is this the last PS4 exclusive
This
before
is
next
it.
gen?
Yeah, this is it. Everything else is all third party. We still have a bunch of huge juggernauts for the fall, but I mean, it's all third party stuff or, like
Yeah,
cross
yeah,
platform stuff. Yep.
yeah. So it's a good thing to sort of cap it all off, really.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I say share the same thoughts, and if you consider like what Sucker Punch has done before, and for them to pull this out, it's pretty nuts. So yeah, I understand that there's issues, and maybe those issues are more prominent when we actually play the game. But to see their last game, Second Son, and to see this, it's such a crazy difference, and they bit off not more that they could chew, but like they tried to go as far different from that experience and tried to achieve a huge open world that's crazy beautiful and still has its own unique flavor and kind of brings this samurai genre, back to life. It's a lot for
Hmm.
them to achieve, and so like you also, I wonder if that needs to be in play when it comes to the reviews, considering like it's not like Naughty Dog did this and this is their next one, and it kind of like falls short a little bit. The past games have been okay to good, and this seems like a huge jump, and they try to do so much, and they seem to overall nail it. I think they just deserve still a lot of praise for even trying something like this because it's so different. They could have gone with something way more safe in that's more related to something like Infamous, but they did not with this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like you said, I think they are really pushing the boat out. They're definitely going something more cinematic as well,
Hmm.
which for me personally has never been their strong point. I haven't actually played the first two Infamouses, so I can't speak on them. But um, where looking at Second Son, which is their most recent game anyway, the cinematic presentation of the game has never been their strong point. I think just visually in general, like just having nice visuals and a lot of attention to detail in that area is something that they've always done well. So it's not a shock to see that Ghost of Tsushima's evolved on that and really improved on that. But yeah, I think you have to compare it to previous titles and to look at how they've taken their strength of presenting their game and made it into, one of the top things that all these reviewers are saying is really great. Um, and even if the gameplay isn't anything new, it still sounds like it's an improvement on Second Son because you've got people singling out its combat. You've got people singling out certain aspects of the world exploration, which isn't something you could do with Second Son. It was very, there were tons of games that did pretty much everything better in that respect with that. So yeah, I mean, it seems like a vast improvement on their previous work, which is all you can ask for, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, I share that same idea. It's very crazy to. This game is already so beautiful, but I find myself wondering, like, how would this look on PS5? Like, can we even handle that
Mhm.
level of fidelity? And really, like,
Yeah.
another thought I have is that they've pretty much been able to succeed with Ghost of Tsushima. I would say this is now a full blown franchise. I'm assuming it ends in a way that they
Mm.
could keep it going, or maybe they could do a prequel. There's something here where they could for sure continue this on. So this is another
Yeah.
franchise on their hands, and it's just amazing to see them come out of the gate with another, another success for Sony to just keep going in another direction with a huge franchise like this. So it's just like Gorilla did with Horizon. They took a chance, and now they have a full
Yeah.
blown franchise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's exciting, just in every way, really, because I think everyone loves that contemporary sort of Japanese setting as well, especially visually. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to giving it a go. I'll get it pre-downloaded tonight. Maybe I'll do a couple of hours at midnight, see how long I can keep my eyes open. But yeah, no, tomorrow I'll be smashing through. I mean, I've heard it's what 40 to 60 hours, I
I
think.
think so. One of the
That's what
tweets
I've
I had
heard. Yeah,
seen, they were saying that like, yeah, it's like 40 to 60 hours, but it's even longer for the amount of time that you stop and take pictures in the photo mode because it's so beautiful.
yeah,
You find yourself doing that a lot where
yeah,
it extends the time further. But yeah, I've heard the
yeah,
same things.
yeah. So it's going to be a long one. So
Yep.
I don't know when we're. I mean, I think we're going to do a spoiler cast on it probably. I don't know when that will eventually be ready to go. But I'll try and rinse through it as quick as I can.
Yeah, I mean, I would say take your go at a natural pace. Maybe it takes us 2 weeks or whatever to go through it, but we'll
Yeah,
see. It does look like
yeah.
there's a lot of content here. I do find it interesting to kind of compare them, Sucker Punch rather, to Naughty Dog, where Naughty Dog's able to, at least this current gen, they would piggyback or flip flop between going to learning from Uncharted and then taking that over to Last of Us and then going back to Uncharted and then taking those
Mm.
same ideas. So to see Sucker Punch hopefully change it up next time, maybe go back to Infamous, learn from what they did with Ghost of Tsushima, and then vice versa, take those same things they learned and go put it back into Tsushima 2.
Mhm.
It'd be cool. I
Yeah,
like when devs have that different contrast and like a style so they can kind of learn and go back and forth. Same with like Bethesda with, say, Fallout and like Skyrim, how they can kind of go back and forth and learn and take those same ideas or improve on those elements with the next release. I like when they have that option to
yeah,
kind of change up the pace and then learn from those different releases.
yeah, yeah. It's always cool to see a studio like challenge themselves, and especially when it works and they pull it off. I think like a sort of example on the other end would be like with Bethesda when they sort of took that risk with Fallout 76 and
Yeah, yeah.
they sort
That
of
one didn't
fell
work
flat
out,
on their
but
face. But I mean, yeah, but I mean to be fair, that seems to be on the way up.
right.
Fallout 76. So who knows? But yeah, I think it is nice it's nice when a studio takes a risk and it pays off. So and it looks like, whether or not me and you, we might hate this game. You never know. But objectively, it looks like it's been well received. So it's a success in all senses of the word.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I wonder if this will work any better on the SSD that I have, but it's ready to go now. I'm definitely going to hook this up
Yeah.
to my 4K TV and try and just like get as much, visuals out of it. And with all the games coming, all the PlayStation games coming to PC, I can imagine also if they were able to port this and like unlock all the bells and whistles, how also this would run. Because I think this is at 30 frames per second. So I wonder how it would look, even better on 60 frames per second too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think especially when you've got like all the dynamic grass and everything.
Yep.
There seems to be a lot going on. So yeah, I think this is definitely a game that would benefit from higher frames. But yeah, no, I'll just use my base PS4 and suffer with 1080p. And I think I'll probably do what I did with Last of Us 2 and put it on my 1440 monitor. I mean, I get a little bit of like blur because it's like stretching the resolution slightly.
Gotcha.
But the good thing is like I'm close to the screen and I'm a lot more like involved. So I think I'll just do that and sit in the cabin for 40 hours straight
There you go.
until it's done.
Like God intended, Callum.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
speaking of, porting PlayStation games to PC, we had Death Stranding release this week on PC. I don't know if you've seen some of the footage, but I've been jumping into it, watching Digital Foundry's take on it, and it's crazy fucking beautiful, and it makes me. I sort of like dabble with the idea of, man, do I want to play this game again on PC because it looks so nuts. I don't want to pay another,
Yeah.
full price for this game that I already spent so much time with, but it looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I looked a little at some of the sort of like comparison videos and yeah, it looks pretty insane. I haven't really looked into like how like its optimization, like we were saying earlier, like that's a big thing to think about with PC games.
Right.
So many games are just so badly optimized for that it's just not even worth trying them. But yeah, it's cool for me because I'd never played it. I didn't play it on
Oh,
PS4, so I've
really?
still got that option. Yeah,
I would say maybe try
I've
this
still
on
got that
PC then
option.
and get your take on it. I mean, it's eventually maybe when you're
Yeah,
willing to
yeah,
jump in, like, and pay the full price
yeah.
for it. But like Digital Foundry's breakdown showed all the options, and apparently it's like crazy customizable PC wise, and you can really just tailor it to
Mm.
your experience. And I guess it's just really optimized where it doesn't matter your rig; it can kind of handle most things, most setups,
Yeah,
and you can get a lot out
yeah.
of it. And of course, there's like the 60 frame per
Oh, that's
second.
good then. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I think I think I mentioned this before as well, but like because I've now got my 1440p monitor, I pretty much have to play games at 1440p, which is taxing on its own.
Mm,
Um, so I think what I'm going to end up doing is I've got a 1080p monitor now, but it's it's a 60 hertz, like it's not the nicest monitor. So I might buy a new 1080p monitor so that I can sort of like have that option to reduce resolution as well because a 1080p switching down to 1080p on a 1440p monitor looks horrendous
gotcha.
because it's just stretched. It's not like native on there. It's not like TVs where they sort of are all clever and they can upscale and downscale and everything. So yeah, so I think I might get a 1080p monitor because then I'll be able to play like these really taxing games like def I mean like if what you're saying is that right where it's really well optimized, then I should probably be all right at 1440p, but I want to have that option to change resolution just in case it doesn't run properly. But
Yeah, no, and it gives me now I'm curious as to see with I forget the date on it, but with Horizon, that's also they announced a PC
mm,
port. This is using that same Decima engine, so I
yeah,
imagine it's going to have the same ability to fully customize the options on PC. And that's an older game, but I imagine that's also going to look even more beautiful. So I love the idea of
yeah,
these games that have been locked on PlayStation coming to PC and letting people just completely turn everything on.
yeah. Well, you'd imagine actually that thinking about it now that because they didn't come out on PC at the same time, they probably will be well optimized because they've had all this time to
Mm,
screw around with it and make sure that it's going to work on PC. Because normally, like we were talking about Assassin's Creed earlier, yeah, that those games came out on PC the same time they came out on console. So that was just like rush it all out as
right.
quick as on everything. And then all they can do from then is release patches, which won't fix everything. Um, so I might have a look at Death Stranding and see what that's like. And yeah, you mentioned Horizon, didn't even think about that. Um, I don't think I'd get it again, but I would be interested just to see what it'd look like at higher res and higher frames. I actually saw I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if it was a leak or intentional, but someone released like the settings like panel on the Horizon PC version,
No.
and you can choose console settings. Like you can choose so like to everything, so it'll like default everything to the console settings,
Yeah.
and they were all like medium, sort of low. So it shows like how much more you can go on the PC version, which is pretty cool.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, that's it puts into context how, and these all are older machines. Like the PS4 is what 7 years at this point
Yeah,
now, so it's like you are kind of
yeah.
locked into this older technology. So yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
you could definitely get way more out of it on current PC stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The only problem is you've got to use a PC, which, as we were saying earlier, is not always the most fun
Yeah.
thing to.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't think I'm actually gonna put the $60 or around their full price for this. But it is interesting, and maybe if it goes on sale, I'll jump in.
Yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we'll transition into our next one here. This one is about the PS5 production. So we got PS5, Sony reportedly increasing production to 10 million consoles in 2020. So this is of IGN. Adam Bankhurst has the article. Sony is reportedly increasing its PlayStation 5 production to 10 million units in 2020 as it, quote, sees the prolonged effects of the COVID-19 pandemic boosting demand for gaming. As reported by Nikkei Asian Review and Bloomberg, Sony had originally planned to produce 5 to 6 million consoles by the end of March 2021, but the change in demand due to global pandemic has caused it to change course. Sony is said to have begun PS5 mass production in June, and under the latest plan, expects to assemble 5 million units by the end of September and another 5 million between October and December. Not all 10 million may make it to store shelves in 2020, however, as logistical delays may delay a percentage of the PlayStation 5 consoles in 2021. A big factor in the potential delay for some of the stock is due to shipping constraints, as a large proportion of Sony's consoles are made in China and sent out via sea around the world. It could take months for these consoles to make it from China to US and Europe via ocean lines, which can cause issues keeping PS5s in stock. Sony is also said to be increasing production for the PS5's DualSense controller. It had originally planned on producing 10 million units. Yeah, Callum, what do you think about this? Although, as I read the article, the idea of a lot of these PS5s locked onto a shipping container somewhere in the ocean and just taking months to get here, and some dude who's just like in a crowd of PS5s, just kind of messing around and playing with them.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But how do you feel? This gives
Yeah.
me more hope that we can actually get our hands on this thing.
Yeah. I think yeah, it's cool. It obviously something's changed logistically to um, influence that decision. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I was always gonna pre-order it as soon as I could anyway, just in case, because I'd hate to not have one
Right.
day one. But no, yeah, it's really cool. It means that that people they're not necessarily going to go down that route of that Nintendo always go down, where they purposely hold back production so that it makes it more attractive.
Right.
Because I think it's a clever move. I mean, it clearly works for Nintendo. But yeah, it's just kind of like annoying, like especially like when the secret's out, like why they're doing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that same effect. Um, so yeah, no, that's cool. It's nice for them to just be normal about it and just put them on shelves as many as they can.
Now, I wonder within that article they mentioned Sony expecting a bigger demand. Is that because maybe I don't know if I wonder if that gives us any idea on the price. Does that mean that the price is actually going to be something that people can afford, more like a $400 range, 450, and
Mm.
whatever that translates to pounds? But like, I wonder if it's going to be a cheaper thing than we thought, so that more people are going to be able to jump in and they're going to have higher demand versus that
Yeah,
huge price tag that maybe we feared and less people are going to jump in. I wonder if that gives us an idea
yeah,
on what they're going to end up charging for this thing.
yeah. I mean, it could definitely be that. I mean, it could also be their sort of gauge on the reaction of when they revealed the console.
Sure.
Because before that, it was very up and down, wasn't it?
Yep.
Everyone was getting pretty frustrated that they hadn't shown anything. Getting worried. Nobody enjoyed the Mark Cerny Power Hour thing. So it was all sort of looking a bit, sketchy in that respect. And then when they revealed it, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I'm completely on board." So it might just be them monitoring that, seeing people were a lot more positive about it. Maybe they were expecting or just gauging the negativity and thinking, "Oh, we'll lower production or whatever." So it could be something to do with that. But yeah, hopefully the price is manageable. You'd hope that the fact they've built it like big so that it's got like good thermals and things.
Right.
You'd hope that that is actually an indicator that it's going to be cheaper because they've gone for just airflow rather than something sophisticated to keep it small and compact and still cool. Um, so you're hoping that they just opted for a bigger shell to reduce cost on researching thermals and things like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? We'll know when we see it. We'll it's all speculation at the moment, but yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if it was cheaper than £500 or $500. Just because I think that's a completely fair asking price for what we're getting. I think it's even quite cheap for what it is. I mean, it's not cheap in the grand scheme of things. I mean, that's a lot of money,
Yeah.
but like we were saying, I think last week about mobile phones costing like at least 1,000.
Yep.
It really isn't that expensive, especially when those exact same payment plans exist for games consoles that do for mobile phones. So yeah, I mean, I'm still expecting a pretty hefty price tag.
Yeah, I think me as well with that. But yeah, you have a
Yeah,
good point with them going with that larger size, and maybe it's been said before, but yeah, they don't have to settle or like make custom as many custom made parts to get it smaller and get these like smaller cards and whatever chipsets to fit into a smaller box. They can kind of get maybe somewhat off the shelf kind of PC parts, not necessarily,
yeah,
but like then get stuff that isn't as
yeah,
customizable or custom made that can fit in there and would reduce the price as well on top of that. And
yeah,
that helps with airflow. I know I guess the PS4 had issues. Well, I mean, it for sure does with the airflow with the fan going out of control, but also that's the thermal thing. I always hear that people's like PS4s are crazy loud, but that's like the thermal paste that wasn't properly secured or enough of it was put in those base models, and so they dealt with that loud fan. The loud fans in general. So this is them hopefully
yeah.
combating that. But yeah, I wonder what
Yeah.
what this means for the price with the size of this thing.
Yeah, yeah, I think like the loud fans is it's annoying, but it's nothing really normally to worry about. It's the same as like when your PC fans start whirring and things like that. It's just they only kick in because things are getting hot.
Yeah,
So if they're loud, it means they're working, which is always good. And I imagine the PS5 is going to be loud as well. I doubt that's going to be something that. When they say because they said that it's larger for thermal reasons, didn't they?
yeah,
And I doubt it's larger so that it can be more quiet. I think it's just larger so that there's more airflow. It can keep the internals cooler, less chance of overheating, all of that. Because these things are going to be running hot. So there's going to need to be some good cooling, good airflow. But yeah, I mean, for because it's single purpose, I think it's fairly straightforward to make sure that there is like a very effective airflow going through it because it's going to be the same um, thing. I mean, with PCs, you've got different shaped cases, different like exhausts, and different places for air to come in and out. Um, so I think, yeah. So I imagine that its larger size is just to show that it's not going to be that sophisticated in terms of that, and hopefully, yeah, like you said, it's going to be a lower price because of it.
yeah. Here's hoping, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
you have to imagine we're super close from an actual price announcement, and then the opening up the floodgates for the to actually reserve it. I would say maybe we're in July now. We think like August or what end of July? Because I know Xbox has their first party event in July, and there's people theorizing, do they wait till after that event? Is Xbox going to have their pre-orders at that first party reveal event that they have in July? Are they going to wait? And everyone's kind of waiting for the
mm,
price, for the shoe to drop. But it's got to be and we keep saying that, but we're got to be super close to actually getting a price nailed down.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Nice, Cam. Well, all we can do is wonder and hope, and we'll see what happens. But our next one here is interesting. It's so this article or this news, it's like I don't need it, I don't want it, but we'll get into it. This is the news on an Uncharted movie. I guess it's finally starting production. So the article here is from Destructoid. Chris Moyes has article. Cameras are finally rolling on Sony's Uncharted movie. Several years and seven directors later, it appears that shooting has actually really finally begun on Sony's big screen adaptation of Naughty Dog's popular adventure series Uncharted. Originally conceived way back in 2009, pre-production woes have plagued the Uncharted movie at every turn. Clashing schedules, casting issues, a revolving door of directors, and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic have all hindered the process to get the Nathan Drake story up on the silver screen. But the Instagram account of star Tom Holland suggests that the players are on set and that the cameras are now rolling. The Spider-Man star posted a simple image of his seat set emblazoned with the word Nate. The 24-year-old actor has been cast as the death-defying adventurer in a story that will tell of Drake's formative years, learning the art of tomb raiding under the watchful eye of mentor Sully, who's played by Mark Wahlberg. Also set to star as Tati Gabriel as Elena Fisher, Sophia Ali as Chloe Frazer, and superstar Antonio Banderas in an unannounced role, expected to be the film's antagonist. Zombieland double tap producer Ruben Flesher is cemented in the director's chair, probably literally at this point. Uncharted is now tentatively scheduled for release in July 2021. Callum, how do you feel about this? I don't think we need a movie, but it is being made. It's
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really hypocritical here because I think I've said before, especially with Last of Us, that I don't like games that get turned into films. But for some reason, I'm super excited for this. I
Yeah,
don't know why. I think it's great casting for a young Drake. I think it is. I think that is just perfect casting. I think he already has those kind of mannerisms, and I think he could really tap into that. I think it's a part of Uncharted that is hasn't been explored that much,
that's true.
save for the few levels in Uncharted 3, and the Uncharted 4 bits, but I think they're even further back. I think Mark Wahlberg is actually a really great choice for young Sully as well. Yeah, I'm just really excited for it. I think it's just such a fun story with fun characters. I think, it's not, Last of Us is so you know, deep and experienced in a certain way. Uncharted is just lots of fun, lots of explosive set pieces, lots of things that would translate well onto the big screen. So, yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm glad that it's actually happening because I assumed it wasn't actually going to happen in the end. But yeah, no, I'm going to be a complete hypocrite against what I normally say and just say that yeah, I'm really excited for it.
No, that's true. I mean, you bring up good points. They, I guess initially I thought, man, this Tom Holland is too young to play Drake, but they are taking place before the movies. It seems like they're showing him
Mhm.
learning his abilities and that kind of thing. That kind of turned me off when I first had seen this. But you're right, and they could tap into that stuff that isn't in the games. The cool set pieces that will make Uncharted could lend themselves well to the big screen, and they could really take advantage of that. That is
Mhm.
true. I guess it's like with these games, especially with like Naughty Dog games, they're all so cinematic. You don't really need a movie presence because you
Yeah,
spend so much time with these games in general, and like the cutscenes, the set pieces are so over the top, and it's cool to actually play them. So I
yeah,
just, I'll still reserve judgment until the trailer comes out because they're just now starting,
sure, yeah,
production. But I guess at face
yeah,
value, I don't need it. But you're right. We'll wait and
yeah,
see like what this actually looks like.
yeah, 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 for sure.
Gotcha. So you'll be buying your ticket day one for this. It looks like.
Yeah, as long as we're allowed in cinemas by then.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess they're making movies again, but it's like, where are we gonna go see these? I
Yeah.
mean, one movie I've been
Yeah.
excited for is Christopher Nolan's Tenet. I don't know if you've seen trailers for it, but
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah,
looks
yeah.
super dope and really just trippy and nuts. And I loved um, not Inside Job. What was that? Inception. I loved Inception, so
Mm.
it's cool to see him go back to that. But they keep like pushing the release date forward because there's no theaters to go into. So they're trying to
Yeah,
like launch
yeah.
in July and August, but it's like I don't know when that movie's coming out. But
No,
yeah,
yeah,
assuming
no
we have
idea.
theaters to go to at some point, then we'll see this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, Callum. Well, the next one here is about Sony acquiring a minority stake in Epic. So the actual article here is from Matt Kim of IGN. Sony acquires minority stake in Epic for $250 million. Sony has acquired a minority interest in Epic with a strategic investment of $250 million. The minority stake will mean that Sony and Epic will be able to collaborate more closely together in areas of games, entertainment, and technology. This deal means Sony gets a 1.4% interest in the game's development studio and publisher and gives Epic a valuation of $17.86 billion. Dollars. For context, Sony paid $229 million dollars for Insomniac in 2019 and $380 million dollars for cloud gaming service Gaikai in 2012. Epic founder and CEO Tim Sweeney has said that Sony began discussing buying its $250 million stake in the Fortnite creator after the Unreal Engine 5 PS5 demo, explaining, I guess they liked it. Responding to concerns that there was a financial arrangement made behind closed doors to ensure PS5 tech was used to showcase the UA5 demo, Sweeney countered by saying serious investment discussions began after the event. Tim Sweeney added, Sony and Epic have both built businesses at the intersection of creativity and technology, and we share a vision of real time 3D social experiences leading to a convergence of gaming, film, and music. Together, we strive to build an even more open and accessible digital ecosystem for all consumers and content creators alike. That's a lot of like publicist jargon right there at the end. But
Hmm.
Callum, this seems huge. What do you think just overall of this idea? It seems like a lot of money to pay for such a small percentage in Epic, but I guess we can theorize like what would they be getting and what are some of the what are the reasons why to jump in this late with Epic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, firstly, I don't know why Epic need any money.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's just just a sign of support, I suppose. I think obviously they've worked closely recently with Unreal 5. Um, yeah, I think it's a yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, I think it's very there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes with that. Um, but yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. It makes sense considering how close those two have been recently, and with the PS5 on the horizon. Yeah, I think it's all just related to sort of that kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely interesting.
So some of the smarter, theorizing behind the scenes I took from Colin Moriarty's Sacred Symbols podcast. I was listening to that over the weekend, and he kind of had some
Hmm.
ideas on what could we imagine that is happening behind the scenes. So these are the takes from that podcast. But do we see like Sony getting dibs on the UE5 engine maybe first before other developers with that? I wonder if that's part of the deal. Um,
Hmm.
will this tech transfer over to their first party studios where they can kind of unify them a bit? I mean, they all use their own proprietary stuff anyways, or like Sony related stuff they share. But if you remember, Days Gone used the UE4 engine for some reason, and no other first party really does that. They all use their like own Sony stuff. So I don't know if that helps with the
Yeah.
deal. And also they were theorizing: do we see so the Epic has their PC games, their PC marketplace? Do we see games that normally would
Hmm.
go there only go to their and PS5? Like they have some kind of closed ecosystem before it goes to Xbox. Maybe it's like
Hmm.
timed exclusive. I wonder if that's behind the scenes. But Epic bought
Hmm.
or has this publishing stake in a couple of devs. So they have Design, which made The Last Guardian, Playdead, which did Inside and Limbo, and then Remedy that they made Control recently. The Epic publishes those games now with this new deal. So I wonder if maybe those games come to PS5 and Epic first before they go to Xbox. But all we can do is theorize. But I wonder if what would sweeten the deal, because it seems
Yeah.
like such a small stake and they paid a bunch of money for it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think I think engine wise, it's hard because I think that's just going to be open to all developers. So I don't think there'll be any exclusivity there. And I mean, Pro Evolution Soccer has just announced that not for the next one that's coming out, but the one after, say like 2 games from now, they're leaving their current engine, which is Fox Engine, the same engine Metal Gear Solid's on,
Mm,
and they're going to Unreal Engine for them. So it's being like rebuilt from the ground up, which I like Pro Evo, so it's quite exciting news for me. But yeah, so I don't know about timed exclusivity on engines, and I'm also not sure about. I just don't know. I don't feel like 250 million is enough to buy yourself anything. It feels like it's more of a investment into something, into maybe just like a partnership, or into just working together like research wise and technical wise.
gotcha.
That money may be spent to just further the the technology that's used in Unreal Engine or something like that. I'd like to believe that anyway. I'd like to believe that it's just an investment to try and further um the technology behind these engines and everything. But there probably is some sort of deal, and I think all of them sound viable. But yeah, I would just like to believe that it's just an investment in the technology, but business isn't always that valiant.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. All we can kind of do is think behind the scenes, but yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's
Yeah.
them just getting in on the not the ground floor because Epic's so big already, but to try and
Yeah.
it's an investment and it's just going to keep growing. Epic is so huge. They do, of course, they have Fortnite. They have that cinematic technology with. If you saw that in the Mandalorian, where they have these sets where they can film and like have this realistic lighting or like background
Mhm.
images that are projected, so like they can have the scene projected on the background and just like create this really realistic effects when they're filming it in real time, and that's all Epic technology. So it's like they're only growing, they're only getting
Yeah.
bigger with their PC presence. So maybe they're just trying to. It's just an investment that money's only going to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that could certainly be it as well. I mean, their investment is going to grow hugely. I mean, I suppose it's kind of like when people buy shares in things. I suppose Sony are just, they could just be buying shares in Epic
Yeah.
just to, as it's a safe investment, they're going to see a good return on that.
Yep. Very true. We'll see. It's anything's possible with the future, Kellen. So before we go into our next one here, just give a shout out to we got Sean from Play Everything Productions in the chat, and just giving us a thumbs up, saying "What's up, Fonzie?" But yeah, AKA that kid Flowers on Twitter is this guy. He's pretty dope. But yeah, I follow Play Everything Productions online. They're a pretty dope podcast, and they're just
Awesome.
crazy over there, and basically just bust each other's balls, and it's pretty funny. But we
Yeah,
have
I'll definitely give them a look.
they're dope. They're dope. So our next one here is the four biggest announcements from the Ubisoft Forward. So really, I mean, my big takeaways from watching that were like Far Cry 6 and Valhalla. You're a huge Valhalla fan, or Assassin's Creed fan. What did you think watching that footage? What were your impressions? Because you finally got to see like legit gameplay from Ubisoft.
Yeah, so obviously, like I've only just got like back into Assassin's Creed with Origins, and I'm enjoying it. And with Valhalla being set in a setting that I'm particularly fond of, and only recently as well, like I've been consuming so much material that is around that setting of like the Viking invasion of England. Um, I think it looks absolutely awesome. I think it looks um, just brilliant, and I think the more in depth gameplay that they gave, because I watched Ubisoft Forward this morning, um, and there was sort of two lots of gameplay. That at the post show gameplay was even more in depth, and it just seems just great. I think it's they understand, similar to how it seems in Origin. They understand the setting they're in. They understand how to base the game around that, how to base the quests around that, and there seems to be a lot less filler. It seems like everything is just has a reason behind it, and yeah, I think it looks great. I think the only thing that I noticed was the main character's facial expressions were extremely like bad, like really not good at all. But again, I don't know whether that's just because it's a work in progress or
Sure.
anything. But yeah, that was like strikingly awful. Everyone else seemed all right. It was just the main character. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if they've got like a few things to add in there or change up. But no, yeah. I think now I've got a lot more of a sense of how it's going to work. I don't think it's actually at all like Origins. Again, I haven't played Odyssey, so I don't know how much it borrows from that. But it seems like there's a lot of new stuff. Like um, your health constantly goes down. You have to like eat, you have to feed yourself.
Mm,
It looks like you're going to have your own settlement that you've got to build, um, and one of the really cool things I saw about it was that they've changed how weapons work. And they said that they want it to be that if you find a weapon, you can choose that weapon to be your weapon throughout the whole game. So you can like invest in your weapons, which I think is really cool. Um, which Origins has that to some extent. Like you can upgrade weapons up to your level if they like get leveled out or whatever. But I think they're having a bigger emphasis on weapons. Sort of, I suppose it kind of like makes the weapons their own character in a way. You become attached to weapons and invest your resources into them and make them better. And he was saying as well that it means you get accustomed to that sort of fighting style. And so yeah, I just feel like they've got a lot of really good stuff going on there. And yeah, and the fact that they've come away from the filler that Odyssey's meant to have had and gone for a much more contained, more focused experience, I think is going to reap huge amounts of benefits for everyone playing it as well.
gotcha. Yeah, and I'm super overall positive from seeing this extended gameplay. I think it looks really great. So there's some of the criticisms, and that was early footage apparently that had leaked, a couple weeks ago. But I think this looks great, especially considering it's an open world. I don't know if, and that's always the trouble with like open world games that are transitioning to the next generation. I don't know if this looks next gen to
Yeah.
me, but I don't know if they actually confirm like where we're seeing a PC build or a PS4 build or something like that. But I'm interested to see what this looks like fully unlocked on, say, like a next gen console. Maybe it'll just look more like
Yeah.
the PC version. But no, it looks dope. I did notice there's a weird point, not a weird point, but like just it shows how much I don't know about this historical setting. But they show you as you're reaching an encampment that you can take over and basically make your own camp there. But they describe the
Hmm.
other people there as the enemies. But really, you're the Vikings coming in
Hmm.
and taking over places that are already established
Hmm.
by Europeans, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
or people in England. So it's like to call them villains
Mhm.
is weird because like they're just living their life, and you as the Vikings come over and take over their shit. It seems kind of weird for them to
Yeah.
label it like that, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that one of the like creative directors, I think it was creative director, said that just before they started the gameplay was that they want to show a different side to the Danes and to the Norse, to these people who went Viking and came to England, because really they the problem is Denmark and Norway, where they come from. There's no land to grow fat on. There's no land to farm, so it's a difficult place to grow up and have families and
Mm.
raise children and everything. So that's where they go Viking, which means take a ship and raid, um, get money, get plunder, and then go from there. So it's kind of like a necessary evil in a way. They need to find somewhere to grow and live and settle, and to do so they need money, they need land, and because of their culture, they worship like Odin
Yeah.
and all of that, who through their religion, it's very much you're there to entertain the gods, so that they're a lot more loose than Christians, who obviously the Anglo-Saxons were, who are very law abiding and do everything for their god and everything. So it's definitely a product of its time in that respect, like morally. And I think that's where it's going to be so interesting is, you're going to get to see this different side to the Northmen, who were Vikings and everything, because really they were just doing what they had to do to survive and grow, and they just wanted land where they could live and prosper, really. But no, I'm really excited to see how they tackle that, because that's what like the Last Kingdom is as well. Like it
Mm.
really delves into that sort of side of they're both kind of bad people. Like the Anglo-Saxons were awful. Christianity at the time was extremely raw and uh, very bad as well. So
Sure.
there's not really a good or a bad side. They both just have their own culture and their own way of living and everything. So it's definitely a really interesting setting morally to put things in. And I think I don't know if you saw like where you get to like make choices. So there's a part where you're helping an elderman, who's about to be Lord of East Anglia, and you kill this or you beat this Dane in a fight, who's like taken over and is like ravaging the lands, and this elderman who's a Christian says, "Oh, he needs to be trialed, because like under God, because that's how we do things in this country."
Uh,
But because you're playing as a Viking or a Northman, you want to send him to Valhalla. You want to kill him, give him the honor that these people like. So you have to make that choice. Do you side with the Christian and go by their rules, or do you go by your own culture and your own rules and kill him and send him to Valhalla? Because in a way, it's extremely dishonorable and disrespectful to a Viking or to a Dane to not let them go to Valhalla and subject them to prison, or if he gets like hung, he won't have his sword in his hand, so he won't go to Valhalla and things like that. So there's
Interesting.
going to be a lot of moral gray areas that I think is going to really do well in that sort of game.
That's pretty dope. I did not realize that. With that choice that you make, do you have your Viking buddies with you to where your choice also influences how they see you too, or is it more of like the protagonist's like own dilemma dealing with wrestling with these options?
Yeah, so I think it's more the protagonist's dilemma. So I'm not sure what the consequences of these choices might be. It might be that if you say no, you won't get this guy's support later on, or if you say yes, then you might lose the support of some of your, Viking team, but you might get some of his or something. It's interesting, and it's a very similar kind of direction that the Last Kingdom takes, which is where you've got this person who's unsure whether to side with the Saxons or to side with the Danes, because there are some awful, awful Danes and Norse, and there are some awful on the other side. So you could kind of had these Danish people who wanted to integrate and live at peace with the Saxons. But obviously they get caught up in all the conflict that happens as well. So I think that's the sort of direction they're taking. So you're going to have to choose. Am I going to go down, side with the Saxons? Am I going to side with the Danes? What am I going to do? And I think that's going to make for some really interesting choices as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely more excited after this gameplay reveal. But yeah, I wanted to get your
Yeah,
take on that because they did show off a good amount of that game. Nice. So we'll kind
yeah.
of cruise through. we got this one was actually an old bit of news, but I feel like I don't know why we didn't cover it after all. But this was big for PlayStation, so I guess a big loss, or maybe not after all, but depending on how you look at it. But this is Facebook acquired Ready at Dawn. This is about 2 weeks ago now, maybe a little bit further. But GamesIndustry.biz has the article. Brendan Sinclair wrote it. Facebook continues to add VR developers to its stable of Oculus Studios, as the company today announced the acquisition of Ready at Dawn Studios. Having shipped titles to multiple platforms in the past, Ready at Dawn is a veteran game developer with some serious chops as well as a VR pioneer. Facebook VP of AR/VR content Mike Verdu said in a blog post announcing the acquisition. Founded by former Blizzard Entertainment and Naughty Dog developers in 2003, Ready at Dawn built its reputation making PSP installments of prominent Sony franchises like Daxter and God of War Chains of Olympus. That also made the early PlayStation 4 exclusive The Order 1886, and in recent years has focused on VR, producing 3 entries in its Lone Echo franchise for Oculus. A 4th game in the series, Lone Echo 2, is currently in development. Callum, what do you think about this? So this is a pretty good get for Facebook, and it was never a first-party studio with Sony, but they had such a big relationship with them, and then the Order kind of fell short when it actually launched on PS4. But do you think this is a big loss for for PlayStation, for studios to work with PlayStation?
Um, uh, I mean, yeah, I suppose in a way, I think the Order was a cool idea. It was really boring, but like it looked great, and it was like in a cool, really cool. It was a cool idea, like
Yeah.
this sort of dystopian, Jack the Ripper sort of time. Um, so yeah, I suppose it could be a problem because I always wanted to see a sequel to The Order, so we might not be getting that. But it's cool to get these big reputable studios working on VR as well because I like I don't use VR that much as you know, but I like the idea of good studios supporting it. So yeah, I mean it's a loss in some way, but it's a win for others. So.
I wonder if Sony does own the rights to the Order or that property, or I wonder how that deal works because they are their own studio, but maybe because it was a PS4 exclusive, I wonder if they own the any preceding sequels on it. But that was such a cool idea with the Order. I just wish that yeah, it wasn't as boring, but it looked crazy. Just crazy awesome how for next gen, for being a very close to launch PS4 title, it showed like what this console could do. And so I was always hoping, at a left wing, they would show like an Order 2 for PS5, and just to show
Mm.
off now once again what can happen. And they learned from some of those places where they fell short with the Order. But I guess we won't see that after all.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a shame, but yeah, I mean, it's that they're a great studio, and I'm sure they've got some good talent to work on this Oculus stuff.
Yep, I agree. We'll see. So we got this one we'll end on is just pretty big news as comparison to against what Sony's doing lately. But this was today. This is this morning. Xbox Game Pass and XCloud is going to be combined. So I have the tweet here originally announcing this from Xbox's Twitter account. Excited to announce that Xbox Game Pass and Project xCloud are coming together at no additional cost starting in September. Play games like Halo Infinite when it launches this holiday, whenever and wherever you are. So the actual details here are from their blog post. Finally, today we're announcing that September, in supported countries, we're bringing Xbox Game Pass and Project xCloud together at no additional cost for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members. With Cloud Gaming and Game Pass Ultimate, you will be able to play over 100 Xbox Game Pass titles on your phone or tablet, and because of Xbox Live connects across devices, you can play along with nearly 100 million Xbox Live players around the world. So when Halo Infinite launches, you and your friends can play together and immerse yourselves in the Halo universe as Master Chief anywhere you go across devices. Cloud Gaming and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate means your games are no longer locked to your living room. You can connect more than ever with friends. Okay, some of this is PR stuff, but the basic idea is they're combining them
Yeah,
at
yeah,
no
yeah.
charge, which is pretty nuts. So a Game Pass Ultimate on PC is $14.99, which is what, 12 pounds over there roughly, and Game Pass on
Hmm.
consoles is about 10 bucks, 8 pounds over there. And in comparison to PS Now,
Yeah,
which is the same kind of streaming service, I don't think it's as fleshed out as Game Pass, but or as
no, yeah.
XCloud, but it's $4.99 per month in the states,
Hmm.
$4 in pounds. But it's a pretty big combination, and I'm loving that they're making these moves. But yeah, how do you feel about this announcement?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think Game Pass Ultimate doesn't really have a huge amount to offer because you've got Game Pass on console, which is what £7.99 a month, and then you've got Game Pass on PC, which I have, which is £3.99 a month. So it's really, really cheap on PC. And then Ultimate, you get both. But I think that's aimed at very niche people who play Xbox and PC, which I don't think a lot of people do because you can get all of these Xbox games on PC. Um, so yeah, I think it's a really good way of fleshing out what Ultimate gives you, because it's certainly something that would make me more keen to pay a little bit extra to get it. But yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. I think Ultimate's like like 11.99 in the UK,
Gotcha.
which is like way more than I pay for just PC. So for that jump to be worth it, it's good that they're adding something else on. If there was like a xCloud app on my TV or something, then I'd be all over that. But I think for now, for me personally, I don't really need it, but it's definitely a good thing to add on.
I wonder if we'll see any response or if it's needed from PlayStation. They have PS Now. Do they try and couple that
Mhm.
with PS Plus? I would love for each console group to actually just unify all these different features. So have one thing you pay
Yeah,
that gives you the online access. It gives you like say the PlayStation Plus, benefits, but also the digital streaming like with PS Now and say with Xbox in comparison.
yeah,
Like I'd love them to just unify everything rather than have these a la carte, options.
yeah. I think that would be cool. Like an all encapsulating sort of service would be ideal for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a great move for Xbox just because I think we're going to see more of this where they're somewhat against the wall, so they're making more big swings and more moves that would maybe aren't as beneficial like financially, but they get more console players over
Mhm.
there, they get more people adopting it, and I love that we're seeing this, and that's what happens when they compete and when they have to kind of gain ground is that players get more features out of it. So no, I'm stoked, and I wonder if PlayStation feels any need to like combat this or add some other kind of feature to bring people over. But I think the next battle
Mhm.
for in next gen rather is going to be more streaming services, how they handle that and letting people play on their
Yeah,
devices and how that all works together. And then, although as they're doing that, you see Stadia kind of behind the fence peeking over, trying to compete in the same realm, but really not being able to do what these
mhm.
consoles are doing.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just forget Stadia. In fact, I was only reminded Stadia existed when I was watching Ubisoft Forward because they were like saying about how Valhalla's coming to Stadia or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, it's something I forget happens, but or forget exists. But yeah, it's there and it's doing things, I suppose.
It's having a rough go, and especially as these console
Yeah.
huge players like are able to succeed at what they're doing and just do it even better, and it's tough for them over
Mm.
there. But I do think the next battle is going to be subscription services, streaming, and maybe even better for people that don't have the money to jump into the next console phase. They can actually just play on their phone. They can stream it. They pay for whatever, assuming the connection
Yeah.
is good. They have another way to jump in, and you have subscribers there, so you have money, you have income coming in based on that.
Yeah.
Nice, Callum. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. It's a big move there at Xbox, and they have their first party event happening in July. I think end of July, so it's coming up soon, where they're going to show off some Halo Infinite stuff. I know you're a big Halo
Yeah, I'm
fan, right?
excited for that.
Yeah. So have you been? I know
Yeah.
three just launched on PC recently too.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get into that. Me and a friend are playing through the first Halo at the moment, so
Mm,
we're hoping to get through that and then do two and then go on to three. But I must say, I don't think Halo One's very good at all.
really?
It's like yeah, it's very cut and paste like things, and it's just a bit boring. But I love Halo Two and Three. So I'm looking forward to playing that. I never played four or five, so I'll probably play those at some point. But yeah, I'm stoked for Infinite. I've got good feelings about it. So it'd be nice to just see Halo hopefully regaining like a foothold because it really just died and became such a lesser franchise, which is really sad to see because it was a huge titan. So hopefully we'll see it return to sort of all its splendor soon.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be the juggernaut. It used to be the game to beat, and now it's fallen by the wayside. But
Mhm.
I think that's what also it shows how much they need to succeed with Halo Infinite. It has to just come out of the gate swinging like it really has to with this next gen. And I think that's what they're putting all their cards in with Series X. Like that's their going to be their flagship title. Like it has to perform, it has to reinvigorate the
Yeah.
franchise. If not, I mean, I don't know what else to do with Halo, but yeah, so there's a lot of pressure on them to succeed with that. But I'm stoked. I mean, I guess I've fallen by the wayside too as a fan, as a Halo fan. But I remember playing the first one
Mhm.
when it came out on the original Xbox, and I was blown away and I loved it. Especially, there's one scene that always stays in my mind, and it's when you first find the Flood as Master Chief, and it's very
Yeah.
a horror setup where you're kind of making your way through. You find these logs from the various people that are like have been killed. You're not sure what's going on. Then they finally reveal them, and they're these weird, like popcorn looking monster things, and then the eventually the infected ones,
Yeah.
and it's so scary, so dope. I just loved how they built that up.
Yeah.
But also, my memories are tied to playing it for the first time then. And if you're going in with like the advances that FPSs have had since then, it's hard to stack
Mhm.
up. Like I've been playing the Master Chief Collection recently, and I keep finding myself wanting to like zoom in and like do the iron sights kind of thing, and that wasn't
Yeah.
until like the
Yeah.
later titles. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping they really bring that franchise back to life.
Yeah, I love Halo, and I just love the sort of sandbox feel to it,
Hmm.
and the sort of the ability to sort of like not just hide behind cover and shoot like every other FPS. It's very like you can run in, and everything is just designed to like the finest point so that you're able to run in and jump around and dodge things and just have a blast. And I think that's apparently where Halo 4 and 5 started to lose its identity slightly. Um, but but yeah, I love them. There's not really much like the older ones. So yeah, hopefully Infinite will sort of return to its roots slightly there. But either way, I think we're going to get a solid FPS, and it would just be cool to see Master Chief again.
Yep, I agree, Callum. Well, that's it for us this week. We'll end it there. Where can they find you online?
At Bear Munro is my Twitter, and probably the best place to follow me.
Awesome. You can find us online as well on Twitter as well, Plastic Heart Pod. That's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.